Welcome. In the last session, I finished discussing the three groups or three classes of algae. Now, in this session, we will see the biological and economical importance of algae, and with that, we will be finishing off this group called algae. And then we'll start with the next group under plant kingdom that will be bryophytes. Okay, so let's start this session with biological and economic importance of algae. Okay, so here let's see the first point. Half of the carbon dioxide fixation on earth is carried out by algae. So half of carbon dioxide fixation on earth is carried out by algae. Okay, what we mean by this carbon dioxide fixation? So the carbon dioxide fixation is a process that takes place under photosynthesis. Okay, we know in the process of photosynthesis, the plants take carbon dioxide, synthesize energy rich compounds, and during this process they release oxygen. So here, during the process of photosynthesis, they take up carbon dioxide and they release oxygen. So this oxygen will get dissolved in the water. So because we know the algae will be growing in the water. So once the process of photosynthesis is taking place, it releases oxygen, and that oxygen will get dissolved in the water, and that becomes dissolved oxygen. And this dissolved oxygen is very important for all the aquatic animals, right? So here this dissolved oxygen is important for all aquatic organisms. I'll take it, not only animals, many other groups of organisms who are living aerobically, they require oxygen. So hence these algae will be able to release oxygen during the process of photosynthesis, which gets dissolved in the waters, and it becomes dissolved oxygen, and it is used by all the aquatic organisms. So that is one point. So half of carbon dioxide fixation on earth is carried out by algae. So the next one, they form basis of food cycles by providing energy rich compounds. So they form basis of food cycles by providing energy rich compounds. So we know the algae are autotrophic and they synthesize food materials, and those food materials will be taken up by the next group of organisms. So here usually algae, we consider them as producers. So all those autotrophic organisms, okay, who synthesize food materials by the process of photosynthesis, we call them producers. So algae are producers, and depending on producers, we will have consumers. So these consumers don't synthesize their own food materials. They are not autotrophic, they are heterotrophic, and these consumers will depend on these producers either directly or indirectly. Okay, right? And that's what here in the aquatic systems, all those consumers will depend on these producers. That is, producers in this case we are discussing about algae. Okay, so they depend on this algae either directly or indirectly. So that is, they form the basis of food cycles by providing energy rich compounds. There are 70 different species. So there are 70 different species of marine algae that are used as food. So we humans are using the algae also as food. Okay. So there are around 70 different species of marine algae. So that are used as food. Like example, we'll see porphyra. So this is used as food, and then laminaria is also used as food, and then sargassum is etc. All these are used as food. So all these are marine algae that are used as food, and that is humans are using it as food. Then certain marine algae, so certain marine, okay, algae, they produce large amounts of hydrocolloids. So certain, okay, I'll say brown algae. So a certain brown algae and also red algae. I'll mention, okay, certain marine brown and red algae produce, okay, something called hydrocolloids. They produce hydrocolloids. Okay, so they produce certain substances, what we call them hydrocolloids. Okay, so these hydrocolloids are water holding substances. So the hydrocolloids are water holding substances. Okay, so they take up water and remain in the wet condition for a long time. So that is what I mean, water holding substances. Okay, so example of that water holding substance is algae. So algae is a water holding substance, and this is obtained from a brown alga, obtained from, or brown algae is obtained from brown algae. Okay, then another one called carrageen. So and another substance called carrageen. So this is also hydrocolloid, okay, right, substance, and this is obtained from red algae, is obtained from red algae. So those are hydrocolloid substances that we obtain from marine brown and red algae. Okay, so these two substances, okay, that is algae and carrageen. Okay, so algae and carrageen, so both are used commercially. So both are used commercially. Okay, then the next one, so there is another substance called agar. So this agar is another commercial substance. Agar is another commercial substance. Okay, and this agar is obtained from gelidium. So it is obtained from gelidium and then gracilaria, etc. So from these algae we obtain this substance called agar, and this agar, okay, is used in laboratory for growing microbes, of course. They extract the agar and it is available as a in powder form in the market. So okay, they bring and then mix with water, okay, and that becomes a semi-solid substance. And on that, in microbiology laboratories, they will be using those media. So this will the agar can form, right, a nutrient medium on which we can grow microorganisms like bacteria, right. So it's being used in the laboratory for growing microbes. Then this is also used in preparation of, so also used in preparation of ice creams and jellies. So it's being used in preparation of ice creams and jellies. Okay, so the next one, the algae like chlorella and okay spirulina, they are unicellular. Okay, so chlorella and spirulina and okay spirulina, so these two are unicellular algae. So these two are unicellular algae and these are rich in proteins. Okay, and they're rich in proteins. So because they are rich in proteins, these two are used as, okay, food supplements. So hence used as food supplement by space travelers. So he's being used by food supplement by space travelers. So they use this as food, so they take with them, okay, and as they are rich in proteins, it is used as food. So both are unicellular algae, right. So these are a few right importance and I mean biological and economical importance of algae. So with this we finish off the group algae, and then next we'll start with the next group under this plant kingdom. We'll start with the bryophytes. So the next group of plants are bryophytes, right. Bryon from the Greek, which means tree moss, and phyton, which means plant. Okay, right. So later we'll understand all those things about these bryophytes. Now here, bryophytes include, so they include liverworts and mosses. So they include liverworts and mosses. And these biophytes, these are, okay, non-vascular plants. So these are non-vascular plants, and also non-flowering. So I hope you remember the classification which I have given in the beginning. So we have classified them under non-flowering, okay, plants. So these are non-vascular plants and non-flowering plants, which means here they do not produce flowers. So they do not produce flowers. And non-vascular, which means they do not have the vascular system. So that vascular system is xylem and phloem. So they don't have this xylem and phloem. Of course, algae are also non-vascular plants. They also don't have, okay, right, the vascular system, and they are also non-flowering plants. They don't produce, okay, flowers. Okay, in both these cases, okay, we'll find the body as a thallus. Okay, so later we'll see all those things. So here they are non-vascular plants, which means they don't have vascular system. So the meaning of vascular system is presence of that xylem and phloem. Okay, and non-flowering plants, they don't produce flowers. Then, so these bryophytes, they are commonly seen. So they are commonly seen growing in moist shades. So they grow in shaded areas and they should be moist. Okay, right, and these are moist shady areas of hills. So in the hilly regions, okay, if we find any, okay, shady moist areas, then we may see the presence of these bryophytes growing in that location. Okay, then these are commonly called, that is bryophytes are commonly called, bryophytes are commonly called the amphibians of plant kingdom. Amphibians of plant kingdom. So they're called amphibians of the plant kingdom. Okay, right. So they require here water for sexual reproduction. So why we call them as amphibians of plant kingdom? Okay, so because they require, okay, so this is because they require water for reproduction. So they require water for reproduction. So for that reason, we mentioned them. Amphibians also, right, say they also require reproduction. For reproduction they require water. So for that purpose, okay, so right, so I mean, when comparing with the amphibians, they also show the same, okay, phenomenon. So because of that, this group showing the same way of reproduction, we call them amphibians of plant kingdom. So they require water for reproduction. Then, okay, so here they play an important role in plant succession on, X1. So they play important role in plant succession on bare rocks. So they play important role in plant succession on bare rocks, or even we can consider soil also, on bare rocks or soil. So plant succession is a gradual transformation in the composition of plant species from time to time. So that's what we call the plant succession. So it's a gradual change in plant species composition. So plant species composition, okay, uh, from time to time, okay, in a particular area. So what happens as the time passes? So first algae, first these okay, bryophytes may grow, then later they will be replaced with some, okay, right, herbs, and then replaced with the shrubs, and then finally they may replaced with the, okay, tall trees. So that's what we call it, a gradual change in plant species composition, okay. uh, I'll mention in an area, okay, in course of time, in course of time. So it doesn't take place all of a sudden. It will take several years for this process to take place. So plant succession, later we will study in detail about this plant succession, right? Then the next one, so the plant body is thallus, okay. So the plant body is thallus. So already I have mentioned. So which means its body is not differentiated into root, stem, okay, and leaf like, and it grows, and it grows prostrate or erect. So here, which means it grows prostrate. Okay, so here, prostrate. So which means it will grow on the surface. So here, growing like this. So say suppose this is the substratum, and if it is growing in this way, so it is called prostrate. And if it is growing, okay, like this, then this we call it erect. So the plant body is thallus, and it may grow either prostately or it may grow erect. Mention here, the plant body is thallus, so which means, okay, so lack true roots, stems, leaves, okay. But even though they lack true root, stems, and leaves, right, in some cases, means in some species you will find, okay, uh, so in some species we find root like, stem like, and leaf like structures. So in some species we will find root like, stem like, and leaf like structures. Of course, we have said the body is thallus, but so we may find, like, in case if a bryophyte is growing, okay, in erect, so you may see some root like, stem like, and leaf like. So we'll see those things, okay, as we go on discussing the characters of these bryophytes. Next, the plant body is attached to, the plant body is attached to substratum. So here I have mentioned, say suppose, okay, so this is a rock, okay, so growing on this rock, and that rock is called the substratum, on which you may see the plant body growing either prostately or erectly. Okay, so now the plant body is attached to the substratum by, attached to substratum by multicellular or unicellular structures. Okay, so those multicellular or unicellular structures are called rhizoids. So those multicellular or unicellular structures are called rhizoids. I'll just show. Okay, so this is the plant body. Okay, and here you find those, okay, structures. So these are called the rhizoids. So this is the thallus body, and these are called rhizoids. So which may be multicellular or unicellular structures, right? Then the main plant body, so the main plant body is a haploid. So the main plant body is haploid. Okay, if it is haploid, then we need to call it gametophyte. Okay, so if the plant body is haploid, we need to call it gametophyte. Remember, we have studied in previous sessions. Okay, so gametophyte is haploid. So we studied a concept called alternation of generations. So here in this session, in this chapter, Plant Kingdom, we will be able to understand in detail about that alternation of generations. Okay, so here the main plant body is haploid, that is gametophyte, and we know gametophyte is the one that produces gametes. So it's haploid, and this one produces gametes. So it produces gametes. Okay, right, fine. With this, I will end today's session. Okay, so in the next session, we will further discuss. Even we have, okay, the sporophyte. So how the sporophyte, how the gametophyte, and how they are going to, okay, and where they are going to produce the gametes, and how sexual reproduction takes place, and all that we will see in the next session.